All right, good morning, all. Uh, we are back to our Java class, Java SE, using NetBeans. And last week, we were able to create, or from the previous lessons or videos, we were able to create one GUI, that is one form, and then we connected to database, and we're able to insert tuples into the database from our front end using NetBeans IDE. All right, this is the form. So today we shall look into some important items or list of items to be adhered to. Please, somebody is disturbing. Listen first. So when the class is over, you can do this. You can carry out your discussions and whatever. All right. Okay, let me start my MySQL workbench because I'm going to use it right now. And looking at our GUI, please let me close it and run it again. So there's something I want us to understand. When you click on run, can you see the application start running from the left side top corner, right? Actually, it's supposed to be starting from where? From the center part of it. And this is part of our today's discussion. That's why I tagged the topic GUI customization and data validation, both front-end validations and server-side validations or back-end validation. So let's start with this. Let's take it bit by bit. The first thing I want us to understand is that it seems our application has no title. Okay, I've titled it later, but then let's see how to title a given JFrame. This is the application folder, that is the project folder, and this is the JFrame we worked on, and this is our main class. So if you come to down here at Navigator, we have all the components listed on the JFrame. All components that have been pasted added on JFrame are here. So this is why I want us to carry out some kind of modifications here to customize our UI. If you click on this, if I want to select on the JFrame itself, I click on here, this icon, and JFrame gets selected. So you can right click right from here and go to properties. This is where you carry out some things. Please come down to code. If you come down to code, then this defines the size of the JFrame. If you are working on a particular application and you want all the UIs to carry same size, so please you specify from here. This one is saying 598 by 440. That is height and what? The width. So if I should change this to probably something like say let me say 650 by 450. Please be looking at here. It's going to change size. So when I press enter, can you see the size has changed? So this is where you define the actual size you wanted. It's not clear. All right. So let's magnify. Is it visible now?
Yes.
So what I did was this. I want to carry out some customizations. Sorry. So let's start by selecting the JFrame here, because sometimes if you want to select JFrame from this side, you may end up selecting a particular panel or a component. So you better come down here and select from this side, and then you right click and go to properties, so you carry out all your activities here. This is, if you click on code, while selecting properties, you have these tabs: properties, binding, events, and code. So if you click on code, then this is where you change the size. So the size here is reading 598 by 440 height and width of the what? Of the window of the application you developed. So now if you want to change it, I've changed it to 650 and 450, and I press enter. This has changed. So if you want to be giving a kind of definite, size to a particular application you are developing for all the UIs or for all the JFrames you're going to be generating, this how to do it. I would like to continue with my former size, so I will undo it, and I'll go back to the alright, so here I click on code. This is where we carry out everything. Sometimes you may generate something from here, and at the same time from the other side. That is, you generate something from this code of a property, code tab of a properties of a particular JFrame, and then later you may also create something at the JFrame, from the code. What I mean is this. Can you see here? It's asking us what? Generate center. If you click on this and close it, then run your application and see what will happen. Can you see it started from where? From the center part of it. If I click, it will generate, instead of generating or popping from or loading from the top left corner of the screen, it's now popping from the center, which is the appropriate one. You can as well write your code from the source code to do same. Not necessarily from here. As you can see, let's go to the source code by clicking on the source here, and then I'll have to zoom the source code for you to see clearly what we are doing. Public customer init. Alright, so this is our source code. These are our source codes, right? So now I've already defined do you know what is this, please? Who can tell us what is this? Public customer. This is the class name, right?
Yes.
This is the class name. The reason why we said it is a class name is because it has been declared with a class keyword, right? And then it is public. And public means it is what? It could be accessible by all what? Classes within the project, right? And classes within as well. So here, but then what is this?
Methods.
What kind of method?
Non-parametric.
Can you recall?
Yes.
This is a constructor. Why? Who can tell us? The reason why we said this is a constructor is that it carries the same name with what? With the class name. So it is a special method, if you can recall. So this is where you initialize all your variables or whatever. So I can now say this dot set title. Am I right if I should say this? Is it who recalls this?
Yes.
CCR class customer. Now let me run. It's 7. Can you see it superseded the title you have set from the properties of the Jew? I don't know if you understand what I have done. That's why, I will not repeat this actually. When I was doing it, you guys were doing something different. All I'll do is just, I'll comment this and run the program again. The moment we started our program, or when the video is on, I'm not going to listen to anyone. Can you see customer? This was inserted from the property of what? The JFrame. You can do that, check it and do it yourselves. Now I try to insert from the source code. And then I inserted two different things. One from the source code and the other one from what? From the UI builder, right? So you see, the one inserted from source code superseded the one inserted from the UI builder. So you have to take note of this. Even if something has been added from the UI builder, and it happens that you try to override what you have written from the source code, the source code's on stands. Right, that is one. I don't want to digress. Let me follow this that I've written one after the other. So we know how to set title, we know how to set size, specific size, and we know how to take these set component focus. I don't think if it is all that maybe I'll check it maybe later. There's something I want us to understand. I don't want this video to be lengthy. I don't want it to be lengthy. Let me start validations. The validation I will start with is the validation of combo boxes, and then I will jump to this. Then I will take it bit by bit. I will discuss this as well, but there's something I want us to do here. So this is our form now, and we want to validate. So how do we validate? Let me go to the IDE. We go to the IDE. Now this is the IDE, and we want to insert some kind of this is our design, and I want to work on this register. So I'll right click it and go to event, and I'll move to action and action perform. So we want to work on action perform side of it, and action perform is nothing but the activity that is being, the activity that is going to be carried out whenever the button is being triggered. Whenever the button is being triggered, when I click on this button, it has been triggered. Now you see, it tells me that what customer. Okay, I think we did this, right?
Yes.
We did it, but I wanted us to carry it out again. Okay, we'll discuss it and with somebody. I think it wasn't in class we did that. So let me quickly, turn the source code back to the previous status. So we don't. I want us to take it, bit by bit. All right. And then the database is set to be eSIM standalone, and the eSIM standalone. Let's search for it, please. eSIM standalone. All right. So let me use it here. I'm sorry, I'm not creating, or should I create a different something here? Different SQL. Yeah, this will be better. So I don't confuse anyone. I know it's tiny, so let's magnify. Is it visible?
Yes, yes.
Right, it's correct. So now let me show tables and see what will happen. We have only one table, right? All right. So let's see the contents of the table. So these are the contents of the table. Some people were being registered, enrolled here. But then the problem we are encountering, or we are likely to encounter, is that if we do not do any validation, then it's likely we're going to have some issues here. How? By the time nothing has been entered here and you click on register, something might occur. Let's understand the number of tuples we have. We have 5 rows, right?
Yes.
So if I click on register, it tells me data successfully inserted. This is because there wasn't any sort of validations here. Now if you check from here, run it again. Can you see it has given you blank, 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 but then the ID incremented to 6. So you need to do something about it. Then this is what we call validation from the front end side of that you should force the customer, the user, to make sure that something has been entered here. I don't know if you are understanding. So now to do that, you come up with something that checks whether customer has inserted something or not. User has inserted something on the customer, which is the first text box. So to do that, you now check on, you can say if, you bring a kind of control structure, and then you check txt customer. Oh, I think it's just name, not customer name, right? txt customer name dot get text dot to string dot equals ignore case. So this checks if this, after getting the content of this txt, that's the text box, which is this. Okay, I've exited it. This. If nothing has been entered here, this is the meaning of this text. From here, this calls this text box the variable's name, txt name. Dot get text. Get text means that it should get anything that has been supplied at the course of execution. Dot to string means it should convert whatever that has been entered into what? String. Dot equals ignore case. So here you are checking that equals ignore case, that it should ignore any kind of something, any kind of lowercase whatever, and then it should test. You can check here. Maybe if there's somebody you don't want him or her being registered, you can check if somebody's name is entered. Then maybe you tell him or her that you cannot register, you have been denied from doing such. Okay, but then since we are testing for null string, so this is now the null string. So if this happens, what will happen? You want to say that somebody must enter something, so you introduce your JFrame pen. JFrame pen dot show message dialog. So I want the one with 4 parameters. I think this is the one, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, this is the one. Show dialog with 4 parameters. So the first one, I explained this during our theory class. This first one specifies where the dialog box will get pop up from which direction. Here it tells you about each. This is the message you want to. You can say please enter name. Okay, with this, it's if you caution something, and then here the title of the dialog box, which is maybe customer rate error. Okay, and the last one is the kind of dialog box you wanted, kind of J option pane. The type of J option pane dot what? Is it an error message? Something like that. So if this occurs, it should pop it up. Otherwise, it allows this to run. But if you allow it this way, it will test for it, and then it will later insert whether or not correcting has been entered. So you have to bring the else part of it, and then you copy your source code that inserts into the else part or else block into here. So here you can now see insertion of data after all what? After all validations. So then you paste it. You see, when I pasted, can you see where it started? It's supposed to have started from inner part as this. So if I want to rearrange it, I don't have to rearrange it manually. You can just right click and go to format. It will rearrange it, it will format it the way it's supposed to be formatted. So then let's now run our program for the second time and then get it executed. Now it has run. So let's check it first. Nothing has been entered, right? You click on, it tells you please enter name. Can you see it started from where? For us to understand where it started from, we have to zoom out, run our program again, click on register. It started from the center part. But if you should ask it to start from, where I said no, if you introduce this button, it will start from here like this. Or if you introduce close button, it start from here. I think it's better it starts from here, so you know that no one will, everyone will see it while it is coming out. So now this denies anything to be done if name has not been entered. Okay, and then this is what we have on the this already. It's a blank something. So if you insert something, somebody should give me full something of his name or something. So we Anas Ibrahim, occupation student, right? Business. Business. Tailoring. That business name. You said student and then you say in business. I know the developer. Your name is Anas. Anas Soft. Global business. Home address Kaduna, for example. Phone number, let's say 090. Email ID anas@gmail. We're going to validate this phone number and email ID, gmail.com. So when entering, you have to enter the correct thing before it. Then you click on register. It tells you data inserted successfully. So then let's now go back to our workbench and then view the table. It seems I click on something, and most likely it has wiped away something here. Alright, so can we see that Ibrahim has been successfully registered? Anas Ibrahim, student, Anas Soft, Global Business, Kaduna 090 this. We have to validate this and this. So it becomes a correct thing here. Even though for this, the validation is not more than this. Alright, but then for this one, it has to be a correct phone number. And but then you have to do all this for all. Okay, you have to do for all. So please, somebody should let us know what is after this name and occupation, business, this, that. So let me quickly do it here. I can just copy these and do some kind of changes here. And then here it has to be else if. So let me format it. Alright, it's okay. Okay, so I think I zoom it too much. Is it visible this way? Alright, so now all I need to check is this. Now it is occupation, right? So TST occupation, and then please enter what? Occupation. So I can do something here, right? But you have to be very careful while copy paste. The next is business name, right? Yes. Business name. So here you see what? Business name. You can combine it and say data has not been entered or something. But then this one is giving you vividly the actual thing that I was missing. And I think this will be the best, most especially if you are developing for novice users. The next is what? Home address and phone number and then home address. Home address. Next is say we name it phone number, and here phone number. The next is email, and the last, right? Email, and here email ID. So let's run it and confirm what we have done. If I click, it tells me this. What if I've entered? Let's see, Zilani, are you in? Zilani. Okay, I think we already have Zilani, right? He's not there, right? Okay, let me pick the one we have. All right. Let me pick this Jamilu. There's something I want us to see, because from here we'll pick up another subtopic. Jamilu, and by occupation he says student, and TCN, that's where he works. And let me just copy this since it is an address, and this also I'll copy it here, and then the email ID, copy it here, because those are the things I want to capture. So if I click on this, he gets registered, right? And then if you want to check from your query here, can you see he has been registered again? This is a bug. This is not a bug even. It is a great error. Why should you register one person twice? That's the next thing we are going to consider right now. Okay. So for here now, let me clear all this. Now you see it's not clearing, right? Is it clearing? It's not. So let's do something here. Let's quickly do some kind of two things here. Let me introduce this clearing button. Actually, ideally you're supposed to clear it from here. If you click on design, you come to clear, right click and come to event, and then move to action and come to perform. So when you are here, okay, this is where you write your codes to clear. But then there's something here. Okay, let me start. Maybe later we'll discuss that. If I want to clear name, I'll write txt name, right? The what? Set text. Alright, that means it cleared it, right? So let me run. Anything entered here, if I click on clear, it clears only the one I've pulled. So now for you to clear all of them, you have to do same for all. But then there's something I want you to understand here. Let me do that first, then we correct it. I think next to name is occupation. Next to occupation is business name, and next to business name is home address, right? And there's another one, right? Maybe two of them, phone number and email. Phone and then email. Okay, so I'll right click and format my code. I don't have to be formatting it myself manually, right? So here, this now, if I run it for the second time, run. Okay. I think it's visible now. If I click on clear, everyone goes off. But then a question: if during maintenance another text box probably was added, that means you have to come down here and do it. You have to come down here and do it again. And secondly, if for example after registration, if I want everything after registration to get what? To get cleared before you clicking on clear. These are things I want us to understand. You know, when developing software, one has to be very careful. There are a lot of things you need to put into consideration. So this is what I'm saying: clearing variables after what? Insertion. Okay. And number two, clearing variables, or let it be the first one. Clearing variables by clicking on the what? Clear button. So these are the two things we need to know. I want us to just have a glance on. All right. So I want if I click on clear, it clears. If maybe after insertion it clears as well. So if that is what I wanted, I don't have to write on that. I have to create a method. You create a method and call these things. So whenever you call the method it gets executed. What you wanted get executed, and then this is our constructor, right? Is it?
Yes.
This is the class. This is a method for all these action performed for all these. So I can create something from here, another method within the what? With, not necessarily within the constructor, rather within the class body, within the declaration of the class. The class begins from here and ends somewhere down there. It's lengthy down. Can you see it here? So everything is being here within. So all these are methods. This is the main. Okay, so I can write anywhere. I can come down here and write something here down, or I move up there before the methods. Before all this method, I can write it here and call it something public. 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 Let me say clear. This is the name, right? I just decide to give it clear, but clear something like this. It's a name. All right, thank you. Thank you, void, right? Public void. It's not going to return anything here. So now whenever I call on this, it executes some kind of code here, right? So then let me go to pick from what we have written here. What is it? These ones. All right. I'll pick from here. All right. So come over here. Where is it? If I paste it here, what does it mean? That whenever this method is called, when it is invoked, it should do this, right?
Yes.
So then, now let me go back to where I picked up these things, declare button. Then I'll call it here. I'll invoke something here. How do I invoke it? I'll do something like this. Is it not?
Yes.
Okay. Invoked the what? The method. So let's run it. So if I have it here like this, all these are written things like this. If I click, it clears. And at the same time, if a situation whereby when this is clicked and I want it then to clear it, then I'll call the method again. So I don't have to be duplicating, codes, because you see, actually, it's a very good practice for somebody to be able to write developer software with a minimal number of codes. Because whenever you call your application, when it is loading, it has to run through a lot of lines. So and then that takes kind of a memory and all these. So if you look at it, we have about how many lines there? So only one method. So if you want after clicking, that's after registering. If you want after registering to clear all that is there, then you call that method again. Anywhere you need the services of clearing of the whole component, you call the method. I don't know if you understand what I mean. So here now you can just come over here, because at this point it has done the insertion. All right. So at this point you can now say you can see clear what? Clear variables. So then you call the method clear. So it has what? Invoked the what? The method. So let's run it and see before we begin something new. I think after that we'll stop there, so we don't run a lot of things. So now let's check out on another person here and do something here. I want to re-register this person so we understand that the app is not okay, we'll have to do something. That's the next topic or subtopic we're going to discuss right now. Saminu driving, right? He said drive, and he said Otiscom, and this is the number, and this is the email ID. I think tomorrow we shall discuss these validations of email ID and phone number, and then we'll move ahead. If you click on this, it tells you what it has inserted. Please look at the properties. Immediately I click on OK to clear everything as per what we have done, because we have called the method at the bottom of it. Can you see?
Yes.
So you see now you don't have to be, because by the time you allow only this clear, then that means you have to do something. You have to create another thing here. You have to create another thing here that will consume lines of codes. All right. So just call anything. If you have something very common to all, or something you'll be calling regularly, you just create a method for it, and then that's how it works. So now this is what we have on ground. But if you check from the database, actually the app is not okay. I'm sorry, I gave you an assignment that you should make an amendment on this, that you should introduce course code. Have you done that? By tomorrow I will start to use using the modeling, the actual modeling, because this database now is having only one single table. So please, for those who have done the modeling, you can forward to my email, then I will get it integrated in my system and we'll begin to use it. For the eSIM, yeah.
After running the program, we click on register button, then okay, it will clear the data, but it will save in this database, or will it save there?
It has. Let's check it. Number 9. You see what we did is this. Look at the source code, please. Don't get confused. Look at it. This is where your insertion command started, right? And then programs are being written, are being executed sequentially, unless if there is branching, right, or anything with regards to control structures. Is it? So now as it is here, there is nothing like branching. Okay, so that's how it continue to run this. At this point, it must have finished the execution of insertion of variables onto inside tuples. Variable tuples inside the DB. So all it does is just to do what? To clear. But if you should remove this, if you pick this up here, then insertion will never occur, because whenever you click, it will clear the variables and it will insert nothing. Okay, that is the logic. So now let's look into our DB here. The reason why we had this was that there was no something here that I asked you to actually do something at your while creating the database, that you should make it not null. If you make it not null, it will not accept it from the backend side. And then I did it deliberately for us to understand something here. And secondly, you see Jamilu Salisu and this Saminu were registered twice with their email IDs and phone numbers and everything. Even though these phone numbers, most of them are not correct, we're going to validate them in our next lesson. So what I want us to check here is how do we validate this? And at the same time, how do we, okay, let me start with one. How do we deny double registration? That is what I'm trying to do right now. Okay, double registration. Double registration means registering somebody twice. So you can capitalize on this, either email ID or what, or phone number. Those are the things I want us to discuss right now. And now after that we will stop the video, and so tomorrow. So we are able to do this. So now server side, now we say deny a single. Oh, I'm sorry. There is something here. Modification. What? Modification. Introduce a customer code. The table is not correctly done. I'm sorry. Let's start doing this. I don't know if time will enable us to finish with this and do this very one again. Which one should I give you as an assignment? Which among these two can you do? Which one can you? Which can you actually implement? Can you implement this one? Double registration or this?
Double registration.
None of all?
Sir, I can show you.
You can do this, right?
Yes.
All right. So let's move to the server side. This is also, anyway, this is not validation, but it's a kind of modification. It's a kind of modification. So let's now continue with this one. We don't want situation whereby somebody has been registered and it gets registered, he gets registered again. If you look at our UI here, it's obvious that many people may have the same name. You don't deny anybody from bearing a name, all right? Only that the name must adhere to some kind of things with regards to what somebody has a faith on. But then here, the email ID, they are never same. We only have unique email IDs and phone numbers. So let's pick one. Okay, let me pick maybe phone number and work on it, or email ID, anyone. Let's use email ID. Most likely somebody might lose a number, okay, and the number gets registered by another person. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying, but email ID, you can never regain somebody's email ID. So let's go by email ID. So what you do, the scenario is this: when you click on register, before it works, it first of all check if this email ID you have supplied is available. If it is available within the DB, then it denies registration. Otherwise, it allows registration. Do we understand? So let's go to the source code. So from the source code over here, we do something here. You know, this is where we allow something to occur here, right? So you can introduce another nested if here, if you like. Yeah, you can introduce another nested if here. You can check for if here. If, then you run a query. Okay? You can even run it somewhere else and integrate it within this if statement. They are same. I think this second method will enable you to do something. So what we do is this. We're going to write a query as it is like this. But then this time around, we're going to check from. Before we do that, let's move to the database and write the query. And then when it runs correctly, then we will lift it into our source code. So what we wanted doing is this. We select from, it's not seen, right? Is it visible now? Alright, this is what I wanted doing. I select from customer. Okay. So I wanted to check on email ID, and this is how the column of email ID was declared. Right? So let me copy the field name. Okay, and then move it here. I'm checking from here, then I will bring a kind of a condition that says where email ID exists, right? Is it? You say? Okay, thank you. Let me just check, categorically on a particular email ID. I think his email ID was This, right? I think, is that? Yes, that was his email ID. So I'm checking if this email ID exists, and it existed. It exists even in two places, because we deliberately added another one to check on distance. But ideally it should exist only once, right? So here I just checked whether it exists. But then in the source code, that's not the way we're going to write it. We'll write it this way in the source code, but then we'll introduce a placeholder here to hold the email ID we supply. Okay? So that's how we write there. Now let's go back to the source code. This is very important. You're checking from the backend. So before anything occurs, this must be checked. So now let me write something here, a kind of a comment. Let me say checking for. You're supposed to be writing something like this when writing a code. You not just be writing source code anyhow. This is very good, this comment, such that even if you are not the one to maintain, if somebody goes through it, he understands what you did rather. Checking on double registration of what? Customer. Maybe somebody will not understand. You can now say IE. It means what? Denying the customer to be enrolled more than once. So this is what it means. So you have to write your source code here. Let me quickly do something here. Instead of me calling, because it's going to be another try catch here, or if you like, we can include it within this try catch. So you see here, you can do it within here, but then if you do it within here, you have to introduce counter. Okay, I'll suggest you create a different try catch, but then you must not be connecting anytime. Anyway, maybe we'll do that later. We'll create a class even somewhere, then we'll be calling the connection. So since it's something I'm going to do, I don't have to reinvent all this source code we have written the other time. Let me just copy this, then we'll do or instead of copying, let me write it this way, because I know copy and paste is sometimes disturbing. Try catch, right? So this I have to connect at the same time, right? Of course I have to connect. We'll connect as well. Okay. And all these are there, only that I need to do something like this. Okay, I format it. So please, let's understand something here. This is not the query we're going to supply here, but I need this customer as a table name. So I will write it this way. Select asterisk from customer where is the email ID we said or something. Let me copy it so we don't create any error here. Where this is equals to parameter. Please, do we understand this? That is the supplied email ID. Then you check on the prepare statement. You have to supply a parameter here, please. ps.set string. That is prepare statement that says string. The first string is what? Email ID, right? Is it? So at this point we are done with the query, only that we have to execute it. So while executing, this is what you say. PS dot what? Dot execute query. So when you are selecting, if your command is select command, please do execute query. But if you are inserting or updating, you do what? Execute update. Because while selecting, you are not updating anything. You just selecting. But if you are updating or inserting, you are updating the tuples from the former condition or status of the tuple being null to something, or being 1 to 10 or anything you want to supply. But then you see there's something we want to do here. Please understand what I'm writing here, what I'm going to write here. You know, our query rested upon the result of, our operation is based on the result of this query, because we are waiting to know whether the result contains something or not. Is it true? Yes. Because if it contains something, that means that person has been registered. If it contains nothing, because this is the same thing I did here. When I run it, it contains something. That means this guy has been registered already. Is it? Yes. Because if you run from here, for example, maybe if I should change another person to maybe this, let me pick a different person, like this Bala. Is it Balarabi or something? If you pick the email ID for this guy and maybe paste it here. So we are awaiting the results to know whether the guy has been registered or not. It tells you that the person has been registered. Is it? But if it is not, if you should add something here, for example, maybe 1 here, you see nothing, because this email ID does not exist. That means this person has not been registered. Is it? So this is the logic. So now, if the result of the query is null, if it is empty, then you allow registration. But if it is not empty, if it contains result, then you deny registration from the server side. Is it? Yes, sir. So now, then there's something we call result set. RS. RS equals to please, who knows, who recognizes what I've done? Formerly, I was just having prepare statement to execute query, right? Yes. Then I introduced something called a result set. This result set is a class. So this is the object of the class. Yes. And then I equated it with what? Yes. With the what? With prepare statement execution command, right? Yes. So now what I'm saying is this. The result of this command, query command, should be stored where? In the result set. In the result set. And result set is a class in SQL. Is a class that holds the result of query. So if the result of this query is positive, if it contains something, it will be stored where? Here, right? Whether or not it contains something, it will be stored in the RS, which is the object of what? Result set. So then, if I check on this result set, I can do something. Is it? Yes. If I check on it, I can do something. So I may be able to know whether something, what I'm looking exists or not. Then I will take decision. So that is it. Please read about result set. This is how you do to check from. Read about result set, as I said. So now, most likely I have to introduce a counter, and it has to be global counter. So I'll check if it exists then, or I must not necessarily introduce any counter, but then I'm looking for something that will give you very easy going something. most likely I have to introduce a counter that will check if it is greater than 1 something has been done, otherwise then we'll bring it in here. There are a lot of ways we can do, but then let me pick one way and then we have to stop at that point. So you see now, I'm sorry, this code, let me I have to lift it. Okay, it's already up, right? Okay, it's already up, but then I will lift it up before this if. Then I'll introduce my result to check also within the if. You understand? So this is what I will do. I will take this. I have not finished writing, okay, but there's something I wanted to do. You know, this is how it was, right? Before I wrote that thing, right? So please come over here and check it here, over here. I don't know if you understand. I just put it in here because you have to carry out this test before anything. Is it? So now I have to get something, a pre-plot here that will determine whether something is there or not. Let me introduce counter as I said. But then before the counter, you pick up this and then you now say you must not even introduce counter. You must not introduce counter. Let me just test my result set here. Pick it up here. Maybe after all validations of text boxes, all right? Then you can then pick up something here, please. I hope you are following. This is not what I'm trying to test. I'm trying to test result set, so I will remove this. Okay, arrays dot. Okay, the reason why is that the result set is not global. It is based in here. Okay, yeah, it is based just within here. So I can create result set up there and leave it as null, as a global variable, and then check this. Or I create a counter. I'm trying to do away with counter, so you don't see many things up there. So please let me just do something here. I can just introduce result set up there. This is our class. So before this, at this point, okay, I can declare variables, right? Do we understand what I've done, please? Global variable, right? Is it? So then I can use arrays anywhere, is it? All right. So I move, okay, I'm back to this. Then that means I'm not going to introduce this. So it will be what? Global, right? Yes. So then I can move there and use it. So arrays, there's another, something that say next. This is a class, a method in the result set class that checks on what? Dot next. Okay, I don't want to complicate this. Sorry, let me remove this elf div I've introduced. Just come over here and do the writing. This is result set, right? So let's test it. If arrays.next. Next means if it contains something, then you can do something. You can do your code here. If it contains something, what will happen? Then you have to introduce something. So maybe you introduce a counter up there, and then you increment it, and then it gets code at the other side. If it contains something, that means, sorry, this username exists, right? So you introduce a J option pen that says what? J option pen the show message dialog, the one with 4 parameters. Then you now null here. Here you write your message. Sorry. this username or this user exists, right? Next, customer reach error. Okay, next is JFrame pane dot what? It's an error. If you like warning, but it is error. If you like, you can say warning, you warning somebody, but then you know warning is not as complex as error. So if you do this, oh, this is not even where I'm supposed to write this. At this point, I'm supposed to increment my counter, and then I'll move it down there and write this. So now let me go back there. I have to introduce a counter int. Let's see, reach counter, int reach counter. If you like, you not necessarily, because it is a global variable, you don't have to initialize it, but then we initialize it right there. Are we understanding?
Yes.
No? Yes. Somebody says no. Huh? Okay, so that means I overheard someone saying please, if you are not understanding, you let me know. So at this point, I will now do what? Counter plus plus. That means counter equals to counter plus 1. Okay?
Yes.
So since I have introduced this, so I can then go up there and introduce another else if here. I can now say, after all validations, so client side validations, else if, okay, else if what? I introduce, this is what we have written up there before I write. We said reach counter, right? Look at it here, global, with that color. If it is greater than 0, that means something exists.
Yes.
Otherwise, nothing, right? So if greater than 0, then you write this, the one we have written right now. Sorry, user exists, this, that. So this is the logic. This is the logic. Yes, somebody says let's run and see. Of course, let's run and see. Who is that person? Okay. We used somebody's email ID here. I want us to capture right there. Let me use Jamilu Salisu's data. I have to run again, so I don't run. All right. Why not I just do something like this, so I don't have to be moving up and down. What happened? My window is not it's not a problem. I can do it that way. Okay, you see, like this, you can say always on top. There is a place over there, so it always, even if you click on this, it will be on top always. So let me copy everything, but then okay, that's the name, right? Jamilu, student. I'm writing exactly everything, but you know where we are capturing, right?
Yes.
What next? The number, and then our target, right? The email ID. So we are capitalizing on this email ID. When you click on register, sorry, this user exists. Then let's just touch something in the email ID and make a kind of modification. Maybe instead of JJuice, he says maybe 2 JJuice, right? Then okay, this not. I'm sorry, I didn't magnify. You should be reminding me to magnify this for you. It was like this. I just introduced 2 here. If I click, it will move. But if I remove this, if I click on it, it tells you what? Sorry, this user exists. Are we there?
Yes.
But then let me just introduce something right now. 2. You know, it changes it, right?
Yes.
It's not same. If I click, all right, so then that means we have something. Okay, I did not clear the counter. It's already greater than 0, so you have to clear it. So you have to be very careful. That's why testing is one paramount something here. So so somebody should know the system shouldn't deny somebody from being registered. Okay, so this is it, right? It's already greater than 2. So actually, after insertion, when it is not okay, if it cannot register, you know, at this point it will stop at this point, right?
Yes.
When it stopped here, it cannot move in here. So you can now, but then you know, this method, this method will have to be executed completely. Even though from here to here, even though it's like it's too big, right? Okay. You know, if it starts from here, if it starts from there, let me move. You know, there's something. You know how to navigate, right? If I click on this, it will minus it. It will minus it. If I click, it will plus it. When I click my cursor here and I click on this, it will take me to the last part of the button of the last part of the what? Can you see my cursor here blinking? Last part of the method, right? So, but you know, it has to run the method completely. It will just keep where it has no jurisdiction on. That is, if else if denies it from touching it, it will stop touching from there. But it has to run from to this side. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. Do you understand what I'm saying? Now this is your try catch, right? This is the end of your else statement. It's else, right? End of the else block, right? Control structure. And so now up there, these are else if. If it tests this, it will move to this, that. Now at this point, it tested that there is an error, and it will stop there. When it stopped there, that means it will not touch this else. Is it not?
Yes.
But then it has to go down here and continue, because if there are other statements in the method, it will continue running the statement this way. Do we understand?
Yes.
So then I will clear it from there. That means by the time it is out of the control structure of else if block and the last else default block, then it will wipe it away and start a fresh one. So we won't have error. We won't have any problem. Otherwise, if you allow it, it will deny you from registering anyone. So let's run it again. And this before I even run, let me quickly do a kind of something here. This you say it doesn't exist, right? Okay, there's a counter. Let me move down to counter and see move here. Okay, error. This is the message. Sorry, this user exists. Right? This is what we see, right? So let's run it. And I have to rewrite that of Jamilu, because it is the one on that test. It is the one at hand, because already his data exists there. So, and then we wanted to test something. Let me quickly copy his something here. And for this, I'm sorry, let me pick this from the DB so I don't do something here. And then, sorry, this user exists, right? Good one. Then I said we should do something here, introduce something here, and I click data successfully inserted, because I introduced 2 there, which is not there. Let's check from our DB. Here, sorry. So can you see, please? It has stored it with the DB has been stored with what? 2, because I've changed it. I wanted to see if it will accept somebody's. So you do for this email ID and then move for phone number. So please, I expect everyone before coming tomorrow to validate phone number of the source code. And I'm not going to send this source code, but video will be ready for you. But the source code will not be given. Because I understand that some of you are okay. I see some people looking at me. I'm not going to give them source code. Do you need it? Okay, you need it. Okay, I will send the source code. There's no problem. But then please work on the phone number. So tomorrow, inshallah, we're going to do validations. And I think there's another thing here. All those email, phone number validations, and then we'll move ahead. This video might be somehow lengthy. We'll have to stop here. Thank you all for watching.